An absolute brutal development here for the Miami Dolphins here on a Wednesday morning. It was reported by Adam Schefter that Kader Kohou's injury he suffered last week in training camp that we've been waiting for an update on. Well, it's not a positive one. He is going to be out for the year with a season-ending knee injury. It was not originally reported what the knee injury actually was, but the later update from Adam Schefter about 15, 20 minutes after was that it is a partially torn ACL. And that's really tough for Kohou because it's not a full tear. So there is different ways you can go about your recovery with a partially torn ACL. You can get surgery and end your season, or you can just rehab it normally and maybe try to come back. And with Kader Kohou being on a one-year contract due to him being tendered by the Dolphins this last free agency, it put him in a very difficult spot to make a decision on how he wants to progress with his recovery. But for Miami's end of it, this is absolutely brutal. An already shaky cornerback room, I would make the statement it's probably a bottom 5 cornerback room in the NFL, loses its best corner. That is not ideal, and it really puts Miami behind the 8 ball with their secondary, a secondary that has seen injuries to Artie Burns, to Kendall Sheffield, to Ashton Davis. Ifeatu Melifonwu has still not been on the practice field for Miami to this point in the safety room. It's just brutal how Miami is suffering injury after injury after injury to their worst part of the roster, which is their secondary. More to come here, but I want to wish Kader Kohou a speedy recovery, give him positive vibes, spam his jersey number down in the comments, which is number 4. Show him some love because he's been one of the better UDFA success stories in the NFL and specifically for the Miami Dolphins. Well, after the injury, this is kind of where the cornerback room lies, in my opinion. Mike Hilton, the corner you signed late last week, ultimately is going to take that nickel spot that Kohou was going to hold. And I have Jack Jones as that CB2, the other corner Miami signed this past weekend. Him could potentially replace Cam Smith as that boundary guy due to Smith dealing with a little bit of a lower body injury himself and not really performing that well in training camp. But now we know why the Dolphins signed Mike Hilton so quickly after the Kader Kohou injury. He got hurt on Friday, and it's just like, well, this isn't good. Hopefully it's not a season-ending or a long-term injury. Obviously it was, and it was kind of signified to me, and I said it in the video breaking down the Mike Hilton signing in the short we did, that this move felt like more of a sign that Kader Kohou had a significant injury. Because although Mike Hilton is very versatile, and so is Kader Kohou, the specialty that Mike Hilton provides you is in the slot. He has been a slot corner pretty much specifically for the Bengals and Steelers over the last 4 or 5 years. And Hilton was pretty solid last season, nothing special. Did rank in the bottom half in advanced metrics for slot corners. Kader Kohou was in the top 10, so a little bit of a downgrade there. But I will say this. If you are going to lose Kader Kohou, who is one of the best nickel corners in the entire NFL, I do think Mike Hilton is as good as a replacement as you could find. It is certainly a downgrade. I'm not going to act like it is that like an equal replacement or even a better player. It's not the case. 2 or 3 years ago, different conversation. But now, when Hilton is closer to 30, 31 years old, Kader Kohou still in his mid to late 20s, yeah, I think Kohou is a better corner for his position. But Mike Hilton is a professional. He's aggressive. He's one of the best tackling corners in the National Football League as well, who makes a lot of plays in the run game, always graded out as one of the best run-stopping corners in the National Football League. He's almost like a linebacker at times, but he possesses the speed to play corner. Did he have the best year in coverage? No, but he's going to provide more stability in the run game than Kohou did. But you are going to lose a step, certainly, in the secondary when it comes to covering, and you saw it with those numbers that we flashed on screen. But this is why you subscribe to the channel, because we cover all news surrounding the Miami Dolphins, whether it's positive or negative. We will have you covered, and we're dropping 2 videos a day. Later on today, we're probably going to do a replacement video for Kader Kohou and look at some more free agent corners that the Dolphins could sign. We'll briefly do that at the end of this episode, but make sure you join the channel for more daily Dolphins coverage. But one of the last things I want to say here is that this is really unfortunate because I said it in the video around Mike Hilton. Like, I know the signing was probably to potentially replace Kohou and give you some insurance there, but I would have liked to see them two play together. Like, yes, they're both primarily slot corners, but I think Kohou got some reps late last season at boundary corner. Mike Hilton's got some size to him. You could have played those two together, one on the boundary, one in the slot, and moved them around. And I think with their versatility and both of their abilities to blitz off the edge and specifically with Hilton, make plays in the run game, it would have been a fun pairing to see, and then you just had to figure out what other corner was going to be on the field, whether it was Storm Duck, Cam Smith, or someone else. But now with Kohou out and it just being Mike Hilton as the replacement in the slot, it's a brutal development, and it's sad to see how decimated this cornerback room is. And you could take it back to last season. Think about the starting five in the base nickel package for Miami. Jalen Ramsey, Kendall Fuller, Kader Kohou, Jordan Poyer, and Jevon Holland. All of them are gone. Every single one of them. Ramsey to the Steelers. Kendall Fuller still a free agent. Poyer still a free agent. Kohou's out for the year. And then we know Jevon Holland signed with the New York Giants. So your entire secondary is different from last season to this season. And there are some times where that's a good thing. I will argue it's probably not a good thing now, because if you think about last year's defense, yeah, we complained a lot about the two safeties, and I'm not the biggest, I'm not upset over the safety room being changed, but I thought Kendall Fuller, Kohou, and Ramsey were really solid together last season, so it's hard to see them all gone. And when your replacements are like low-level free agents and second-year UDFAs and disappointing second-round picks from 2 years ago and Cam Smith, that's not the best thing in the world. I'm not happy about it. I hope to be proven wrong, and we see Storm Duck start to put together a really good August. Jack Jones with the same thing. He's got a lot of talent. He's been a starting boundary corner in the past for New England and the Raiders, but it's all about head case with him. Can he stay locked in? Can he stay in the right headspace? Mike Hilton's a professional. Not that upset about that, but the boundary is certainly a concern. And coming up in just 1 second, we are going to talk about if Miami should add another cornerback to this roster. They signed 3 last week with the injuries that have occurred to them in Cornell Armstrong, Jack Jones, and Mike Hilton. Will they sign another? We're going to talk about that here in a second. But we are sponsored by Ethos. And I'll tell you what, folks, in this day and age, can't take anything for granted. And when you lose someone close to you, you can't help but think about the future. With life insurance through Ethos, your family is protected. Life insurance is a perfect way to make sure you're covered, can help pay the mortgage or your kids' college tuition. Right now, you can get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. Ethos is an online platform that makes getting life insurance fast and easy to protect your family's future in minutes, not months. Life insurance is more affordable than you think. With Ethos, you can get a free quote and customize a rate that fits your budget. The process is 100% online with no medical exam required. Just answer a few health questions and get a quote in as little as 10 minutes. 3 million families have completed their applications and trusted Ethos to help find the right coverage. So protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get your free quote today at ethos.com/NFL Daily. That is ethos.com/NFL Daily. Links in the description and comments of today's video. We have some tough decisions to make here, and I am kind of glad I'm not making them. Now, I will give you my opinion on what I would do if I was in Chris Grier's shoes, but if I was Chris Grier in that front office, it would be tough because Miami could definitely use another tight end added to this roster. I don't trust what Miami's got going on at that position right now. Potentially another safety with Melifonwu still on the NFI, and then Ashton Davis's injury that he suffered yesterday. And now with Kader Kohou officially out for the year, you can absolutely make the argument Miami should go out and sign another corner. Yeah, they signed Hilton to replace him, but I would think about adding another veteran to help that depth. Now, maybe this gets cleared up a little bit because we did get slightly good news on Ashton Davis. This tweet coming in from Cameron Wolf, but McDaniel was speaking to the Dolphins media this morning before training camp practice, and obviously the Kohou news, but this is the part I want to highlight. Ashton Davis will certainly miss time after his non-contact leg injury yesterday at practice, where he was seen in crutches and a boot following him going to the locker room. But Mike McDaniel gave a positive update about how that is not season ending. So that is a pretty good update at the safety position. he might start on the IR list to start the year. Remember, you get 2 IR players that you can put at before the season begins where you have to miss minimum 4 games. Maybe it's more, maybe it's less. And remember, 4 games in the regular season is 8 weeks from now. So we'll have to see what the actual injury to Davis is. Hopefully we get clarity there, but it's not season ending, which is a good thing. So maybe you can just weather the storm at safety, right? Keep Minkah Fitzpatrick. I know you have a couple young guys in McMorris and Schrader Jr. You have the versatile Elijah Campbell, and then we'll see when Ifeatu Melifonwu returns from his NFI list, hopefully very soon as well. But maybe you just say, okay, Davis isn't out for the year. He'll return sometime maybe in September, October, or November. We don't need to go out and sign another safety. We feel confident with the other 5 guys we have, with the 2 young guys, Campbell and Melifonwu and Fitzpatrick. So with him not out for the year, personally, I am turning my attention to corner and tight end, which has been the focus of this conversation in the offseason for about 2 months now. I think I would either sign Noah Fant or go sign another corner. We know that Miami created $11 million in cap space when they restructured Minkah Fitzpatrick's deal. They can create another $5.5 million in cap space if they extended Zach Sealer, which is something that I believe they should do wholeheartedly because he is the heart of your defense, and he deserves it because he is the best player on your defense. So you can create a little bit more cap space to make a signing. You can maybe do both in terms of grabbing Noah Fant and a corner, depending on price points. But I would either go Fant or corner, without a question. And when you're talking corners, yeah, Kohou was a nickel, but you have his replacement in Mike Hilton. I think Miami would still benefit greatly from adding an outside corner. And the top 4 are still out there in Asante Samuel Jr., Stephon Gilmore, Rasul Douglas, and James Bradbury. When we have shown the free agent cornerback list, we have always talked about these 3 right here, and then the 4th player being Mike Hilton. Well, Miami actually signed Mike Hilton, so that's a good thing for us. But could they go out and sign one of these 4? Going to talk a little bit about each of these players, but I want to get your thoughts down in the comments. Be the GM. Take Chris Grier's job. Who should the Dolphins sign if they sign a corner to replace Kader Kohou's spot on the depth chart? Let me know your thoughts. I will say this. It feels like Rasul Douglas or Stephon Gilmore are the top options for the Miami Dolphins. And I'll explain why it's not Asante Samuel Jr. here in a second. But I want to quickly focus on Rasul Douglas because I just feel like he might not be a Miami Dolphin, even though I've labeled him the most likely because it is clear to me that this front office values him the most because they've offered him multiple contracts. But Rasul Douglas has turned down every single one of them. Just take it back to April and May. Rasul Douglas visited Dolphins headquarters. The Dolphins offered him a contract. No good. They remained in discussions. Well, it was reported by Josina Anderson and multiple others that the Dolphins offered Rasul Douglas another contract this past Thursday, not even a week ago. He turned down that as well and cited that he has multiple teams interested and that he would like more money. Well, Miami probably has a strict budget when it comes to signing another free agent corner. So if Douglas isn't going to take the offer that Miami is giving him, well, then we have to have a conversation about just moving on and saying, all right, Rasul Douglas, we're not going to even pursue you anymore. You had a horrific season last year in Buffalo. It's not the biggest loss for us. Now, I would still like Rasul Douglas quite a bit if the Dolphins signed him, but at what point are you just going to say, all right, man, you've turned down multiple contracts from us. We're done. Let's move on. Now, with Asante Samuel Jr., he might be cooked. Now, I hope not, because if I had to choose one, I would sign Asante Samuel Jr. because I still believe in his long-term talent. But the issue is, we heard that he was supposed to be medically reevaluated from that neck and shoulder injury in early July. We're at the end of July, and we haven't heard a peep about that medical checkup. We've had teams like the Minnesota Vikings, who have been heavily linked to Asante Samuel Jr., check back in on him and not sign him. So to me, it feels like his neck and shoulder might be more serious, and he might have to take a year off. He might have to medically retire. Like, it might be a terrible situation for Asante Samuel Jr. I'm purely speculating, but the fact that he's not signed yet tells a very large story, considering this is a 25-year-old corner who has been a starter for 4 years, ever since being a second-round pick by the Los Angeles Chargers. I hope he's not cooked because I want him, but if he is, what are you going to do? Not going to sign a guy that can't play football. And if the Dolphins do sign a corner, we will have you covered with a video. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We're putting out daily content and multiple videos a day. So join the channel right now.